Hello there, welcome to the Play for the Dragon podcast. I think it's episode number 15 now or something.
No, that's
Episode 15 of Wales Sports Music, and not always in that order or ever in that order because I'm going to mess it up again today. Sam Evans, how are you, my friend?
very well, mate. And yourself?
Yeah, man, can't complain. Went to a kite race today and got to see. We'll get onto this all later. But had a nice day out the footy. Got 3 points, which is the main thing. And you're going to be coming with us next week to Dagenham and Redbridge. Cannot wait, bro.
The
It'll
first
be
footy
so
game
good.
in God knows how long, more than 2 years now, isn't it? Christ. So,
I was trying to work out when the last proper game I went to was. It's got to be over 2 years ago because.
yeah, I think the last game I went to was a Wrexham game, in fact. I can't remember which one, but it feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does, mate. Just that. I mean, all day today, I was just so getting out of bed at 8 o'clock. Like, ooh, football day today. Oh, got to go and get me tickets from the club shop. So, whipped down to Wrexham. Got there about 2 minutes to 9. What wasn't as bad as the shirt queue was when I went to buy a shirt on the day that was released, but got the Dagenham and Redbridge tickets while I was there as well. Two birds with one stone, so I don't have to sweat this entire week either.
Wonderful.
Yeah, the work lot were trying to help me on Friday when I found out the tickets hadn't been delivered. They were like, "Well, ring them up." I'm like, well, I've got this web page to re-bloody code because the firm we were doing it, I don't know what they'd done to it, and I don't know the first thing about coding, so I had several tabs over HTML, JavaScript, blah blah blah. It looked wrong to me, and I'm a complete beginner. And they're like, no, mate, you've paid for this. Go and sort it out. So thank you, Airbase, for being very, very cordial and helping me there. But it's all solved, and we got the 3 points, which is what mattered.
Right.
Shall we start with another instance of a team we like picking up 3 points?
Let's have it.
Right. So I think we can. The best way I can describe this game, bit awkward, bit frustrating. Well, very frustrating actually, but probably quite a spirited comeback in the end. We left it late.
It was just
Beat
mental,
Belarus 3-2.
It was just like 90 minutes of madness. Watching it, I just didn't know what I was even watching. It was just all over the place.
I think that's the problem when you have a bit of a mishmash of a team. Even in international camps, if you've got that consistency of the same players playing in the same position, they sort of know where each other's going to be. They create the right angles for the passes. I think a bit of that was missing in the Belarus game, but through no fault of our own, really. Maybe a few people that potentially couldn't be bothered to show up, but we'll open that kind of worms later on because let's talk about the good thing first. All that drama, still managed to bring us 3 points back from Kazan. Gareth Bale hat-trick saved the day. My question to you about that Bale performance, how do you think that ranks amongst his best performances in the Wales shirt?
It was pretty good for him, wasn't it, to be honest? I mean, before the game, he'd gone, 16 games, I think it was, without scoring.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been a big gap in fixtures and stuff. It was like nearly 2 years or something, I think he'd gone without scoring for Wales. So to go and do it again, to show up and to grab himself a hat-trick was just special. Real captain's performance as well. He was talking the whole game. He was dropping feet to get the ball. He really spirited performance from him. So, and he really, saved our skin a little bit. It makes you think sometimes as well. It's like, what will we do when we don't have Gareth Bale? What will we actually do? Because without him, I will say though, although obviously Bale was, probably the main reason we won the game and stuff, there were some other really good performances, despite, their overall performance not being great. There were some good individual performances that I think deserve a bit more credit than they're getting. Like, I think Mark Harris coming on, he was really, really good. I think Brennan Johnson, I thought was excellent as well. A couple of shots he had were really fiery.
He went close a few times.
Definitely, he sort of demanded a hell of a save from the keeper at one point from a shot outside the box. It was, it could have been a screamer. It would have been a beautiful goal. So there were some good performances in there, but there was also some really dire performances in there. So it was just a mixed bag. Like I say, it was just a mental game from beginning to end. I mean, obviously we got the penalty really early. I thought Gareth Bale was like really brave to draw the penalty, wasn't he? He threw himself in front of the goalie. I think he knew in his head, I'm going to get absolutely clattered here. He took it, got the penalty, put it away. And I mean, we know what we've been like with penalties recently. So obviously, in the game before, Harry Wilson with a really poor penalty, easily saved from the Finnish goalkeeper. But the penalty was fine. It was a good penalty. I was nervous when he stepped up to take it after the one in Turkey when he sent it. It was against Turkey, wasn't it? It was in Azerbaijan. But
in Azerbaijan,
yeah,
probably managed to kick it in Turkey.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was not good. But the first penalty, Bale, just really brave to put his body on the line, really, because we all know Gareth Bale's a bit, unfortunately made a bit out of glass, you could say. So to see him willing to, to chuck himself into danger like that for the team is really great to see. And obviously then Belarus. It was a perfect start, wasn't it? I think, to be honest, before going on to Belarus goal, I thought we looked really comfortable, passing it around nicely and everything, and then it just went to pot really, really fast. It was like, you get punched, you don't even realize you've been punched the second time because you're
still reacting to the first one.
Yeah. So Chris Gunter gives away a penalty not long after we got our first with some real sort of naive defending. I mean, it was for a high boot, basically. Didn't make contact with the lad, but you can't put your foot that high in the air, especially in the box. You'll probably get, you'll give away a free kick for that if it's in the middle of the park. But to do it in your own box is just ridiculous. And for someone like Chris Gunter, who I think had more caps than the entire Belarus team combined,
put together, yeah.
To go and do something like that is ridiculous. He didn't touch a guy, but of course, the guy's on the floor with a bag of ice on his head for some bizarre reason. Real commitment to the dive. But anyway, they got the penalty. You can't complain too much because it was, even though he didn't touch a guy, it's dangerous play, I guess, isn't it? Got a booking for his troubles as well. They dispatched a penalty nice and easy. I thought we'd save it, actually, to be honest, because Danny Ward is one of those keepers who just seems to be a bit of a magnet for the ball.
When did Huddersfield in the playoff final, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. He saved the penalty against France from, I think, Mbappe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, it was Benzema.
I know it was Benzema on his comeback game, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So I was quite confident he'd save it, but he didn't, unfortunately. Nothing he can really do, one of them. And then literally a matter of a few minutes later, Belarus go and take the lead with some of the worst defending I've seen from a Wales team for God knows how long. So basically, Ruben Colwill, who was getting his first senior start for Wales, who started the game really well as well, it's got to be said. It was looking really promising. I think he even tweeted from the Play for the Dragon account that, he looks really promising, good feet. He was spinning out of tackles really nice, turning, getting the ball off in that way, and doing really well. But then his game just, as we lost the lead, when he scored the penalty, his game just went down. And in the end, he got hooked. And, probably not a moment too soon because he wasn't doing well. Didn't have the physicality. His passes weren't going anywhere. He wasn't making any runs anywhere. So he was just a bit of a body on the pitch. Unfortunately, don't want to drag him through the mud too much because he's a really young lad. Like I said, it's his first start and everything. He showed signs of promise, that's for sure. So there are definite positives to take from Colwell's performance. But he basically, that foul doesn't go down. Someone runs right into the back of him. He's front facing the ball. They rob it. I don't know what James Lawrence is doing. I mean, James Lawrence, sort of his sort of performances had improved massively leading up to the Euros and everything. He was looking like he was almost a shoe-in to go to the Euros. He dropped out for some reason, didn't he? I don't know if he got injured or...
Yeah, I think it was an injury towards the start of the camp. So, it was him and Locke who were sort of fighting for fitness to get in the squad, but I think they both missed out, didn't they?
I think so, yeah. But his defending was just atrocious. So much so he didn't play the next game against I
think he picked up a niggle against the Estonians.
Thank
Again,
God.
this is just this is something I read off Twitter, but I don't think either of us have really been big fans of James Lawrence in a Wales shirt. Like you said, he had some in the warm-up games and the sort of end of the group leading up to the Euros. He did play quite well, but I don't really think he's at that standard if we want to advance as a team. He's I don't know how old he is actually. He's got to be like sort of mid to late 20s. It's always handy to have a left-footed centre back in sort of your pool of players, but I don't have the confidence of him and Metham together in a back two. I think they're both
No,
a bit prone to mistakes. They
yeah,
don't look very confident on the ball or anything.
Definitely, Mepham's a bit calamitous at times, isn't he? You know, not just for Wales but for his club as well. Bournemouth. You look back at to the
End of
playoffs.
last season, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the playoffs he got sent off, didn't he? So not ideal. So he's prone to some poor decision making. But James Lawrence is just so slow. So basically, for the goal, it comes to, you know, he loses his man completely and gets outpaced. He's miles away by the time he's slotted it across the goal. So it's just really, really poor from him. But then it was a good goal, good finish from Belarus. But you know, the defending was just so poor that, you know, if they didn't score, you'd say it was a massive opportunity wasted. But yeah, basically they win the ball from what should probably be a free kick to Wales, but it would have been soft. But you see him given. Takes it the length of the pitch, completely loses James Lawrence, and just slides it along. Bit of a sweaty goal. If it was FIFA, I'd be throwing my controller at the TV. I was close to throwing my controller at the TV anyway, just because of how bad it was. But that was minutes after he conceded the penalty as well. So
I think it was 90 seconds or something. It just went from we're sort of in control of the game, and we thought we were going to be sweating about this for 90 minutes. But, you know, we've got an early goal and we looked good. And then sort of looked back like, shit, what's happened there? What has gone so calamitously wrong?
Yeah, and I mean, you know what it's like with Wales as well. When something like that happens, you don't know what's going to happen next. Do you? Either we'll pull it back and, you know, be really strong, and you'll see a lot of character from the lads, or we'll just capitulate, or just even more likely, then we'll just spend the next however's long left of the game trying to find some kind of hole in a defence that's sat there to win the game. And it goes like that, you know. But the way Lawrence let his goal is unforgivable, you know, unforgivable. But there you go.
Oh, I did have another question for you, actually, because this has always been a bit of a point of contention for me, a bit of a stickling point. But when a player gets up to take a penalty in a game who's already taken a penalty, I just can't watch. I don't know why. I don't know if it's something to do with the psychology of it for me, but I'm not a fan of a player taking two penalties in the same game because, you know, is the keeper going to just guess the other way because you've gone that way the next time? You know, I think the mind games just come into it too much. But
I get what you mean. Yeah, definitely.
That's irrelevant because he scored.
Well, he scored, yeah. But I mean, the game didn't change for ages, and then in the end, he wrote page on Johnny Williams, and Johnny Esther just tore the game up, completely changed it. He raised the pace of the game so much. He got the ball. He was willing to run with it, because something that we do far too often is when we're trying to break a team down to close a deficit or to go ahead against a team that doesn't really want to attack, we just spray it round too much. It's all very pedestrian. It's all very slow. But they brought Johnny Esther on, and he was, you know, making, you know, what Johnny Esther does basically, makes a run of the ball, gets a free kick in a good place, creates pressure, you know. And not just that, once he came on, Joe Allen sort of switched into gear as well. And the two of them together, they really sort of raised the pace of the game. And when we were doing the podcast talking about the squad announcement, we were saying how, you know, maybe Johnny Esther is taking the place of a younger person, younger player that could come on and you know, be one for the future. Maybe got a bigger sort of potential potential to grow and everything. But he proved us wrong entirely with that performance against Belarus. He was outstanding, really, really good. And then basically we win a penalty now. The penalty was pure luck in my decision. You know, when it came from us, I can't even remember who won it now.
I think Davis went to head it, but he just ended up getting taken out sort of just around the penalty spot. That he sort of tried to jump to get it, and then the other player who was also going for the header just took him out. And it was one of those ones where I think you're frustrated if it gets given against you, but you're sort of in awe if you win it. You're like, oh, thank God for that.
It was just pure luck. You know,
sometimes you need that, especially when all these circumstances are stacked against us, like they seemingly were, having to go an extra 1,000 or however miles to Kazan, missing so many players. You do need that bit of luck, especially in international football sometimes. And I think maybe to a point we've been unlucky in some of the games, some of the results that we've either drawn or lost recently. So, you know, we've put in decent performances, but sort of the shot hasn't fallen right, or the referee's missed something. So I think we rode a bit of it with that game and that penalty. But again, another fun. It's good to see Bale properly breaking his duck as well, because like you said, 16 games without scoring for a player like Bale in a Wales shirt.
Unheard of.
You're wondering if it's ever going to happen, aren't you?
Yeah,
You're getting to
definitely.
the point where you're like, okay, what's going on here? But he's back in the side at Madrid, or at least from what I'm hearing, he's playing pretty regularly for them, starting a lot of games, and that's going to improve his form though, because he's got that match. We're always worried about Bale going into a camp having a lack of match fitness. He's getting that now under Ancelotti. So It's just a case of do we want to play him in every game, and how do we manage his fitness in the Wales camps? But
100%. I mean, with Wales, we always have this kind of conundrum, don't we? Whether do we want our players at the top teams, but when they go there, they don't tend to play, or more in like Championship League One, but playing often. We often have this problem, don't we? You look at Joe Rodon, for example, who playing for Swansea in the Championship was looking unbelievable, completely sort of revolutionised our defence. Was a rock for Swansea. Goes to Spurs, doesn't play very often, which is better for him. I mean, probably the coaching and stuff is better at Spurs and that, but you can't. There's definitely something to be said for match rhythm. And I think a really good example of that in the Belarus game was actually Ben Davies, because Ben Davies was quite poor, I thought, to be honest, especially in his passing. He was really reckless with his passing. He was giving the possession away a lot and everything. But then you go to the next game against Estonia, and he played a lot better. Probably because he had a bit, he had a run out in his legs, Yeah. But he hasn't been playing for Spurs. At the Belarus game, he hasn't played at all. I think he played today against Palace. Yeah, I think in fact because they had a red card, didn't they, Jeff at Tanganga?
Yeah. I think him and Rodon, because Rodon came on as well for Dyer. They ended up playing centre back together, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, they were both.
He was getting slated for his performance today, but he's not centre back. So.
Who, Ben Davies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. But he was poor against Belarus. He was really poor. But then, like I say, Estonia stepped up a little bit. So it goes to show. I guess just having minutes in your legs does a world of good. But anyway, 69th minute it was when we scored the penalty. Then we take off. I think Colwell came off for Mark Harris. I think it was Colwell that went off for Mark Harris. And Mark Harris making, I think, his first appearance full stop for Wales. No, he's one of them. He's been with Cardiff. Been with Cardiff for a long time, but he's gone out several places on loan. I think even Wrexham, he had a little loan.
Wrexham on loan. Yeah. He was utterly underutilised from what I remember.
Well, when you got Dean Keats as your manager, it's what it is. Tyler French was underutilised as well, wasn't he? And he's like player of the National League at the moment.
He was on fire today, but we'll get on to that later.
Aye, but he came on. He just, the energy levels and the determination, it was clear to see. And I think, when you see the top of, the focal point of your attack moving like that, and really with a bit of a fire in his belly, it's inspiring for the rest of the team. It helps them to lift their spirit. But he was making runs in behind. He was taking the long ball, taking it down nicely, running for everything. Running after lost causes. So just again, another one. Him and Johnny Williams really, their introduction to the game really lifted the pace massively. And then in the dying minutes, of course, we score another Gareth Bale's hat-trick goal, but again, another really lucky goal at the end of the day, when it was one of them ping-pong, the kind of thing, again, in FIFA, if it happens to you in FIFA, you're turning the console off and walking away before you do something you don't want to do. But
I remember many a scream of anguish at Clarkson View in the Yumi and Johnny FIFA days, last-minute winners, that big old FIFA 1918 momentum swing that happened every single game you'd play.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Basically,
scripted.
The goal comes from Mark Harris's hard work. Basically, he's in the right place. He has a shot on goal. I think there's a couple of rebounds in there, and then basically it rolls to Dan James. Dan James got the presence of mind to swing it across to Gareth Bale, who I think the finish as well is underrated from Gareth Bale. It was a hell of a finish when you think about because he has to lean. It's behind him. So he has to lean back, and he gets enough power on it for it to, because the keeper saved it, and it comes in off his hands, doesn't he? So to get the power into it, making that step back is excellent from Gareth Bale. And again, it's probably something that he wouldn't have executed as well as he did had he not been playing week in, week out with Real Madrid. I mean, Carlo Ancelotti seems to be really getting the best out of him. I think it was Ancelotti who actually brought him to Madrid. Yeah. So there's a good relationship there and everything. It does look a little, that game, it could have been looking like the Gareth Bale that Carlo Ancelotti bought all those years ago, because it was an outstanding performance from him.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But you look at the Italy game where he skied that volley over the bar 99 times out of 100 at match fit, maybe 30, 40 games in his the season, Gareth Bale's going to rocket that into the top corner.
Exactly.
And like you said, because he's been playing for his club, and that's probably why it was a bit of a scuffy finish for the third goal as well, because he's leaning back, trying to sort of hit it into the ground so it doesn't bounce up, and then spaghetti-wristed goalkeepers just pushed it. It's like me playing six-a-side on Real Astro.
Yeah, so I don't know, just a mental game, and one we were pretty lucky to get away with, in all honesty. There were some really good performances in there and some surprising performances as well, but there were some really poor performances. James Lawrence was awful. That could be the end of his Wales career. It was that bad, to be honest with you. Chris Gunter didn't have his finest hours, really, in that game. Ben Davies was poor. So there were some really bad performances in there, but some good ones as well. Brennan Johnson came out of it looking really well, which I was really surprised that he didn't start over Tyler Roberts for the Estonia game with the performance he put in. Mark Harris, like we've already said, Johnny Williams, outstanding. I thought Joe Allen played really well also. So there you go. 3-2 in the end. Just a really lucky one for us, but 3 points in the bag it was,
Exactly. You look at the fixtures in this camp, you're thinking, we've got a perfect chance of coming out with 6 points here. Everything's stacked against us for the first game. We've just got to go out there, sort of do our job professionally, bring the 3 points back to Cardiff, and we can get the job done on what was it? Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Yeah. Shall we move on and open that can of worms?
The Estonian game.
I was at jiu-jitsu for the first half, so I didn't see it, and then I had the Radio Wales commentary on the drive home, and I caught the last 10 minutes by the time I'd not broken the speed limit getting back to Sealand. Wink, wink. But it sounded like, from what I don't know what the commentator, I can't remember the commentator's name, but we had Sam Vokes and Joe Ledley as the colour commentators. Like you said, for some of the times in the Belarus game and some of the other games we've seen, a bit too pedestrian with the passing, just too happy to slosh it around the park. I know we missed chances early on and sort of later in the game, but just a bit too willing to sit on the ball, play it about, try and play really pretty, nice football. And, that doesn't always work to break down teams like this. Sometimes you've got to get stuck into them. You've got to just turn the screw and fire shots on goal and hope something gets through. But I have to say that I think it's Carl Hein, the young Estonian goalkeeper, is 29, bloody 19 years old, I think he is. Yeah, he's on Arsenal's books, which brought a grin to my face, I have to say. But I thought, from the highlights and from what everyone was saying, he had a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it really did. It's a really interesting one. It's been a really typical Wales camp, to be honest. We played pretty poorly against Estonia, come away with the 3 points. Played pretty poorly against Belarus and come away with the 3 points. Played pretty well against Estonia and come away with a 0-0 draw. It's typical Wales, There's been a lot of negativity around the result and stuff, and understandably, because this is the lowest seed in the group, a team that have been absolutely battered recently. A team that I think we talked about it last week, didn't we? 181st, I think they are ranked in the world. More than 150 places lower than Wales. A game that we had to win, basically, and we didn't get it over the line. Now, we played well. Like I said, we played well against Estonia. Don't let anybody tell you that we didn't. Because of all the negativity about not getting the 3 points, we say we played poorly. If you look at the stats, they're not stats of a poor performance. I wrote them down and everything. We had 20 shots on goal. If you get 20 shots on goal and it's 0-0, you've either been unlucky, you've not been clinical enough. And it's probably a mix of the two for us, to be honest. 6 of those shots on target. We had 6 corners, 3 big chances, over 60% possession. They're not stats of a poor game at all. You could put a 2-0 result on those stats and it would look about right, to be honest. So
yeah, definitely. We had, sending the XG statisticians absolutely mad, that one was probably. But even Page said it after the game, we've created more than enough chances to win that game once, twice, 3 times over, and it's just not fallen for it. That happens sometimes in football.
Definitely. I think, if we're all honest as well, we've been due a result like this for quite a while now. There's been lots and lots of games where we've nicked it in the last minute. You know, if you look at the last few games, you know,
Czech Republic.
Dan James against Czech Republic in the 85th minute. You know, you look at when Nico Williams scored against Finland, I think it was what, the 90-odd minute. So, you know, we've been doing a result like this for a while. But because of that, you know, just into the final minutes, it's like, we're going to score, we'll do it. But it just wasn't to be. But like I said, the performance in this game was the only thing missing was a goal, really. And we had big chances. Tyler Roberts should have definitely put one away. Tyler Roberts, who played quite well, to be honest. He did, you know, apart from his finishing, which we've already, you know, highlighted before as a massive problem in his game. Leeds fans all say the same, that he's not good enough in front of goal. You know, and he's one of them that you sort of forgive him because every now and then he'll pull out a really good performance, and he did play well. You know, off the ball he was making runs and stuff. I thought against Finland he looked really lazy. And I would have thought that from Brennan Johnson's performances in the Finland and the Belarus game, he would have sort of taken the spot off Tyler Roberts. But he played quite well. Oh yeah, that 1-on-1 the keeper missed it, and you know, you're just screaming at the TV at that point. Gareth Bale almost does a reverse Pirot, where the keeper saves it, comes out to him on a deflection, heads it, hits the post. You know, it's just, you couldn't make it up. It's just, you know, like it's like the goal was shut. You know, so many opportunities we had, we just couldn't put it away. The problem was, though, like you said, is that we wasted so much time in that game just passing it round, just change around the possession stuff. Estonia came there to get a 0-0 draw, basically. You know, they set up looking for the draw. They had a couple of really good opportunities themselves. Where towards the end, you know, the counter attack, and Danny Ward had to make a sort of a diving save for the bottom corner. So we got off lucky in some senses in that way. But we looked like scoring for a lot of the game. However, we started really, really well. In the first few minutes, Harry Wilson nearly scores from Chris Gunter making a big break and putting it across the box beautifully. To be fair,
looking like a prime Usain Bolt to outpace that left back.
Couldn't believe what I was seeing. And Harry Wilson somehow doesn't even get it on target. And Harry Wilson, unfortunately, gets it. You know, he's in similar to how Bale won the penalty, to be honest, in the Belarus game. He gets taken out by the goalkeeper, but the goalkeeper gets his hands on the ball. So, you know, you can't touch a goalkeeper, really, can you, in these days? And he unfortunately succumbs to it and has to go off later. If Harry Wilson was on the pitch longer, we might have scored, you know, one of them. But there was that chance as well. But like we came out really, really strong, and you're thinking, we're right up for this, we're going to do it. And then towards the end of the first half, the quality just dipped so drastically, and it was just time. It looked like time wasting on our behalf. It looked like we had like a 3-0 lead, and we were just waiting, you know what, putting the clock down. And it comes to the second half, and you expect them to come out, you know, all guns blazing, and it just followed off from how the half ended, where it's just slow. And then you get to the 70 minutes, and then suddenly it's just like, right, oh crap, we've got to actually score now. You know, so for like the last 20 minutes, there's so much pressure on the Estonian goal. And you're just thinking, if we came, you know, they looked there for the taking at the beginning of the second half. If we came out with that, you know, determination,
intensity,
exactly, then we could have, you know, nabbed the goal early in the second half and you know, had a nice relaxing 45 minutes. But no, so it was one of the. It's a nightmare. It's a really tough result to take, most of all because we played really well. But I think a lot of people's problems have been, you know, people have directed the blame at Robert Page for the lack of goals in this game. I don't know. What do you think about all this?
Well, I think a bit of the Page crit. I'll bring the little banner up so gets a little shout out, Rob Page. I think some of the criticism is quite unfair towards him, actually, because everyone knows the predicament we're in with the manager situation at the moment. He who shall not be named, because he was in the director's box at United today.
Was he actually?
He was. Got to be there to watch his buddy Ronaldo, but he can't scoot his arse across to the Cardiff City Stadium to see his actual team that he supposedly manages play.
Yeah.
Why do we bother with Ryan Giggs? There we go. I said it. We can't sack him well, we should have sacked him a long time ago. If the FAW had any balls, they'd have got rid of him as soon as the charges were read. I don't care if he's found innocent or guilty. We should not, especially if we're trying to push equality in football and we're trying to put so much emphasis on the women's team and sort of Wales being quite a fair and open fan. You know, if there was any sort of sexism or anything like that on a red wall trip or in the Cardiff City Stadium at Wales game, you'd like to think it'd be called out and stamped out pretty quickly, same as racism. But the FAW should have. I know it's, but that's the thing. I think they're too money focused at the minute with post COVID and that. They don't want to spend a big chunk of their budget getting rid of that scumbag. And maybe this is why Fergie didn't let him join it with Wales half the time, because he couldn't be trusted. Page is in a bit of a predicament. Like, what can he do? If we get rid of the manager now, we can just give up all hopes of qualifying for a World Cup, because you have that adjustment period of the new manager. It's not like a new manager coming into a club either, because you don't work with the players week in, week out. You get them to the international camps. All the new manager can really do, whoever it is, even if they get bloody... I've always thought someone like Eddie Howe would do a really good job for Wales. I know he's not Welsh, and that rubs a lot of people up the wrong way. But, you know, technically I'm not Welsh, so shut your piles. But
Steve Cooper's the name on everyone's lips at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Steve Cooper in charge, but I don't know if we play too defensively under him, because that was his sort of that was his way of playing under Swansea. They were resolute at the back, solid. You couldn't break them down, and then they'd get goals from that, because, you know, it gives you the platform to build your attacking playoff. I don't really want to see us with these players we've got coming through now go back to a more defensive style, but I think if you look at Page's win percentage, he's probably one of the highest out of the managers in recent history, or maybe even the highest at the minute. I know he's had like 10 games in charge.
42 or 43% is the only people that hire are Ryan Giggs because of the lack of games, and Gary Speed again probably because of lack of games, but both on 50%. So Page, his statistics are very, very good, you know. Now, say what you will about the performances and that, but he's, you know, got nearly a 50% win percentage for a Wales team that's in transition, really. So I don't know. But I agree. I think a lot of the, you know, there is criticism to be had of Page. You know, a lot of it, you know, is about the naivety of some decisions he's made, you know, only taking one strike.
Brennan Johnson on too late.
Trying to, I don't think he even got on the pitch in the end, Brennan Johnson. But yeah, it goes to show some, you know, just a few little things like that, you know, could be done better, let's say. Fine. But who's to say that other managers wouldn't do the same thing? I don't know. At the end of the day, the Estonia performance was good, like we said. There's it could have been improved, definitely, but it was a good performance. You look at the statistics; it says what we said. Who comes in, like you say, and you know the adjustment period and everything. We're in the middle of a campaign, you know.
Are we going to get Antonio Conte in? He's the only top-level manager I can think of at the minute that's a free agent. You know, I saw a few people saying, a few of the Arsenal fans being like, oh, you know, we should get Conte and sod Arteta off. Who's going to say no to that? Like, probably Conte.
Yeah.
But, you know, unless we're going to bring an absolute icon of, I know he's not, you know, he's won the Premier League, he's won the Serie A now as well. So, you know, he's a high-level manager. I quite like him as a person. I think his style of play is quite cool. But we're not going to pull someone like that in. I think these people's expectations are way too high of where we are actually at as a nation. You know, we have little stumbles like that where we draw games we should, or even lose games we should be winning. You know, it could have been a lot worse. I think on the highlights, I saw Estonia in the first half had a shot from outside the box that barely went over. Oh, it hit the bar, didn't it? There we go. That had gone in and they just sat 11 behind the ball again. Do you think we're going to break that team down? Maybe not. Maybe we do. Maybe we claw it back to 1-1. Maybe Roberts takes his chance. Or maybe Bale has a bit more luck and it doesn't hit the post off his noggin. But that's the thing. You know, it could have been worse. I think, you know, we've bought 4 points out of a campaign where, we should be looking to get 6. But it's still just about in our hands to qualify. We've got the Czechs next. And I think our game in hand's against the Belgians. So we're going to be third on goal difference in most probability. But I think people are just expecting too much to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, Belgium are definitely going to win a group now. I think they're like 9 points clear of us, but with a game in hand, we've got a game in hand. I mean, so but you know, what everybody wants is to finish second. So because we've got the playoffs for the place in the Nations League. But if we finish second, it's a home tie. So that would be huge for us, obviously, wouldn't it? You know.
Yeah,
But
it's only over one leg, is it as well?
I'm not sure actually. I think you're right. I think it's just one leg, yeah. Because otherwise, why would it be a big deal if it was a home tie or not? But I don't know. At the end of the day, like you said, this campaign has been blighted by so many inconveniences, losing so many players through illness, injury, or whatever, having to go all that way to Kazan, then visa issues and stuff like this. It's been an absolute nightmare, you know. So I think Robert Page, although he could have done things a bit differently in the Estonia game to sort of try and shake it up and get more attacking players on the field, yeah, probably he'll have to live with that, I guess. But it is
learn from it, hopefully.
Learn from it, you know. They're the two major mistakes. Like, he should have brought Brennan Johnson or another attacker on earlier against Estonia. We should have had another striker more than just Kiefer Moore in the squad. Now, if he makes the same mistake again in the next squad, hopefully when he's got more availability there and everything, and he doesn't take another, you know, what's the word, like professional striker, let's say.
Oh yeah, out and out.
There you go, out and out striker. Then you can maybe start to kick up more of a fuss. But the last campaign was the Euros, and in the Euros we got to the round of 16 with one striker. Mm-hmm. So he thought he was going to have Aaron Ramsey. He thought he was going to have David Brooks. You know, so one of them. I understand where the criticism's coming from, but I do think it's a bit harsh on him. If you look at Cookie, his start to life as Wales manager wasn't exactly good.
And his head was on the chopping board straight after that game as well. Like,
Ryan Giggs.
Imagine if we'd have sat Coleman after 1, 2, 3 games in charge, and we probably wouldn't have got to Euro 2016. Let's be realistic.
I think a big problem, and I think a lot of the people that are so critical of Rob Page are the people who started following Wales after 2016, to be honest, and have these like huge expectations of what we are. At the end of the day, we are a nation of 3 million. We've been outperforming ourselves massively for the past 5, 6, 7 years. Massively, we've been outperforming ourselves. So when these little blips happen, as they will happen for a nation like ours, you've got to accept it a little bit. Of course, you should be looking for more. Of course, you always want to improve and everything, but you've got to be realistic about these things. A 0-0 against Estonia. Look, the fact that is like a knife in the heart shows how far we've come, really. Estonia,
not little old Wales anymore.
Well, yeah, and Estonia as well. It's, I think a lot of people have been doing them a disservice because I thought they defended really, really well in that game. They scored 2 goals against Belgium. They didn't score against us, So I don't know. So the Robert Page criticism, there is something there, definitely. He could have done things differently and better, but it's not enough for him to be chucked out. I don't think, to be honest. He's not the most tactically gifted manager out there, maybe, but he's done well. You can't just get rid of him because you've drawn it 0-0 in a qualifying campaign. Maybe
if we'd have bottomed out the group in the Euros in the summer, and then this had sort of happened, and maybe we drew the Belarus game and drew this one, maybe I'd see where these people are coming from a bit more. But
even if we had a full squad, I'd understand it a bit more. If we had a full squad and everything, I'd understand it more. But how can you be tactically perfect when you're missing like 15 players?
And key players as well. Like Aaron Ramsey as a 10 turns us into another team. Kiefer Moore playing up top, winning those knockdowns. He's quick for a big man as well. He's not rapid. He's not bloody Mbappe speed, but for his size, he can shift. Yeah. He's awkward to play against as well because he's all elbows and knees. Like, I think you've had a field day in that Estonia game. Definitely. And we're a different team when he's in the side. Same with players like Brooks. I think to a degree he can be a bit hit and miss for Wales, but he's just such a good technical player who does make those runs. He's always looking to move forward. He's got a shot in him as well, cutting in on that left side. Cutting in onto his left foot from the right side, I should say. But these are players. Joe Rodon as well. Yeah.
We lost Harry Wilson like 20 minutes into the game. Now, how can you blame it on his tactics and stuff if you lose someone that early? You've got to make a sub. What if someone came out? What if someone got injured or something? I don't know. It looks like I'm making excuses for him. I'm not, but I'm offering another way of thinking about it. I would have, if I was in his position, I would have brought on Brennan Johnson a lot earlier because he looked really good at getting in between the lines and shooting from distance and stuff against Belarus. I would have done that personally. He didn't. I'm not going to pretend I know more about football than Robert Page, But there you go. It's one of these things. I understand people's anger and stuff, but at the end of the day, I think it just shows how far we've come and everything and our expectations.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I understand the anger, but I sort of empathise with it. But also to a point, it's like, well, we haven't lost. Nothing really that bad's happened. It's just a blip in the road. It's not like it was the point at the start of the Estonian game. Okay, we need 3 points from every single fixture, or we have zero chance of qualifying for this tournament whatsoever. There's still ways to do it. Just give a bit.
We've got
give them
4 games left. We've still got a full round of fixtures and everything. We've still got 2 camps.
2 international windows. Yeah.
Yeah. So, everyone's saying, well, that's a massive dint to us qualifying. Yes, it probably means we won't win the group, but were we going to win the group in the first place? Be realistic,
They were saying it in the media, but you sort of have to say that in a way, because I always think with football, if you're not trying to win, why the hell have you bothered showing up? If you haven't got that confidence in yourself, then why should anyone else have that confidence in you to get the job done?
Yeah. But we're not the footballers, we're the fans. So we can say it, But, we're level on points with Czech Republic with a game less played, So if we win our next game, we're ahead of them, If we lose against Czech Republic, we'll be equal on points. They'll have a bigger goal difference, whatever. But who knows? I'm sure that if we've got a full squad, we'll go and play Estonia and blow them away 4-0.
And I think they've still got to play Belgium again, haven't they?
I don't. I think they lost.
They played twice.
Yeah, they lost 1-0. They lost the first. They drew the first one, didn't they? And I think they lost 1-0 in the second.
Okay.
It's going to be a huge game. It's going to be a huge game against Czech Republic in Prague now, and that's obviously not preferable. And in all honesty, these kind of games and qualifying campaigns and stuff, we don't really do really well in these massively pressured games. But it's not over, and these people that are, just Twitter angry and everything, I think they just need to have it, just calm down. The campaign's not finished yet. It's literally halfway through,
I wonder how many tweets were deleted on Thursday morning. That's what I always think after people's Twitter expletives after these games. You just sort of explode all your thoughts onto a social media. I mean, I try not to as much anymore. Having a job now and that, you don't want to get sacked in the first week, do you? But that's the other thing as well I was going to bring up. The next round of internationals, I believe UEFA have said away fans are allowed to travel into 10 games now. So we're actually going to have the Red Wall in Prague. That will make a difference.
Definitely. I mean, there's some really cheap flights and stuff. I saw some flights for like 30 quid and that to go from Prague. So if anybody's, humming and hawing, just do it. I don't know if they fall on a weekend or anything, so those who work, maybe not. But that would be a great away day, wouldn't it? It's one of the best ones in the group to go to.
That's one of the ones I'd earmarked as a good away day. I mean, I know a lot of stuff's kicking off in Belarus at the minute, and we shouldn't really prop up their government, considering he's basically refusing to leave office after being voted out and swinging the election illegally. But I think they still should have probably moved that to a neutral. Well, technically, yes, it was moved to a neutral venue, but they should have moved it sort of more westerly in Europe.
We've said
Minsk would have been a cool away day. Who else we got? Is it Tallinn in Estonia?
Tallinn, yeah.
And Prague as well. Cheap beer, gorgeous architecture. What more would you want?
Spot on.
The West Ham Mafia as well. Sufal and Suchek. Yeah.
It's gonna be massive, that game. It is really gonna be massive. But it's exciting as well. It wouldn't be right if it was all done and dusted before we got there, would it? It wouldn't be right.
Well, we were saying this, would you want it any other way?
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember what I said in the group chat. You can't really call us the zombie nation if we're not sweating to the last 1 or 2 games of the group. You've got to keep them forlorn and in a constant state of angst. That was a constant state of angst.
There you go.
There we go. Lovely. Speaking of missing squad members, etc., one of the big bits of news pains me to bring this up as well, because you love Aaron Ramsey.
I do.
I absolutely adore that man because of what he did for Arsenal, considering coming back from a leg break at such a young age, and what he's done for the national team as well. But it does sort of rub you up the wrong way when he seems to be. I don't want to say he's unwilling to play or he's turning into another gigs and just refusing to show up, but we were trying to get him over for this camp. I think he got injured on the Saturday, or like the last game before joining up with the squads. And I think Page and all the FAW lot were pushing for them to at least free him up for the Estonia game. Juve refused. And then you said he started for them today. Was it Napoli they were playing?
He didn't start today. He came on at like 70 minutes or something.
Okay.
So he's got like 20 minutes in. He's like, but
I think what 20 minutes of Ramsey against Estonia could have done. And the thing is, for me as well, we could have maybe made the case to look, we won't start him. We won't play him in the Belarus game. Fine, whatever. He probably won't be fit by then. Can we play him for half an hour, 20 minutes in the Estonia? He could have been the player to break that deadlock. He could have, made the pass, made a run. He's that sort of player that can turn a game on its head, especially against sides like that. So that's where the frustration lies for me. But I'm not going to throw him under the bus because
this is it. I want to be really careful. Got to be careful with what you say and everything because realistically, we know so little of what goes on with these things. We really do. But seeing his name in the squad, I think it was last night or the night before?
Because they put the match day squad out, didn't they?
Yeah. You see, you're just like, surely not. Surely not. So it hurt a little bit that because you're thinking, what could have been and everything, and then your mind races elsewhere. It's like, well, is there something going on here? Is he just not playing for us? You look at his record recently, and no one's above it. No one's above calling him out over this stuff and everything. But he missed a ridiculous amount of games. Suddenly fit again for the friendlies before the Euros, and then he's not fit again for the next campaign and everything. And then he goes and plays with Juventus, a few days later. So it rubbed me up the wrong way. It upset me more than anything, Yeah. And your mind races like, what's going on here? Is he trying to protect his Juve career? New manager coming and everything. He's not had it really easy out there. He's been in and out of the squad. So is he just being extra precautious to make sure he gets the game time at Juventus? Or is he? Is it just one of those things? He's fine to go, so they play him. It's just one of them. He needed rest. He got the rest. Now he's going. Or is it that he just doesn't fancy it at the moment for Wales? I don't know, but and like I said, I don't want to jump to any conclusions because we have no idea, and it's a big accusation to be pointing finger at him, saying you're not playing for us because you don't want to, we don't know, we just don't know, but it is bad, it just doesn't look good. He should have said something maybe, because it looks really bad now. The silence, doesn't help. I know he's not a big social media guy and everything, but if he literally said, gutted not to be there with the boys this weekend and everything. Luckily, I managed to heal just in time for the Juventus game. I'll be back for the next round of fixtures. Just something to put the fans at ease.
Minds at ease, exactly.
But there you go. And then you said as well, Di Brooks played for Bournemouth today.
Played 70 minutes for them today. I think they won 6-2 against Peterborough. No, that was Sheffield United. I think they won 2-0 or 3-0. Didn't score, but I think he played 70-odd minutes for them today and then was subbed off. So
it feels like
he's struggling for fitness.
Yeah.
He was announced and then he pulled out of the squad, didn't he? He was one of the 4 or 5 players to pull out.
It feels like the Wales of old, where players would just drop out left, right, and centre just to get out of it, basically,
So I'll give Jordan Davis a call. Let's take it back to the Toshak days. Premier League, National League, who cares? Who cares?
Well, Mark Harris has shown that, hasn't he? Playing for Cardiff. He was playing for Wrexham. I think it was last season he was there, wasn't it? Am I wrong? No, it was
the season before, maybe. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Was he on loan at Newport the year after? Maybe. I feel like he's just been passed around some of the Welsh clubs, but he played the few games he played for Cardiff last year. I think he scored in 3 or 4 of them. I heard a stat that the only times he scored for Cardiff, I think he scored 3 times for him, but they're all in 4-0 wins. And he's come off the bench to do. So he is a player who can find the goal. He looked fantastic when he came on against Belarus. Changed the game completely. Based on that performance, though. Excuse me, and on Brennan Johnson's one as well. You have to wonder why one of them weren't pushed in for Tyler Roberts. But
look, at the end of the day, there's been a lot of negativity around the whole Wales thing at the moment, and it's sort of leaked out. Because of the result against Estonia, it sort of leaked into that, and now Aaron Ramsey and David Brooks playing today. So that the negativity just keeps seeming to continue. So you're looking for a break. We want Kiefer Moore to come out of isolation and score a hat-trick for for Cardiff tomorrow or something, you know.
Heartbreaking. Can't wait to have Big Keith back in the squad. We do just play so much better when we've got that focal point to play into.
Yeah.
Which again, I can beat the
Jeff
Cott horse until it's dead and in the glue factory, but I believe he was isolating and didn't actually end up playing for the under-21s, so we can't really say that. Doige is still injured as well, I think.
The only person out there that could have really done a job was probably like Sam Vokes. They were talking about this on Ellis James the other day. Like, well, Sam Vokes is still playing in League One. He can still do a job.
Scored a few times for Wickham, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's young as well. Or young. He's only in his early 30s, you know. But I mean, he just seems to have disappeared from. Yeah.
But he sort of fits the mold of Keith. He's probably not as good with his feet as Moore is and as quick, but he's more experienced. He probably knows how to avoid getting those yellow cards that Kiefer Moore constantly picks up at international level, because you never really see him like sort of jumping in with his elbow or anything. It irritates me that sort of raising your elbow to propel yourself up is a bookable offence nowadays, because I've held off from saying this all day, but the game's gone soft, mate. I didn't say it when you were going on about the penalty. I don't know if you saw me biting my tongue, but somebody's sort of in a similar mould to Moore, so I've never really understood why he hasn't been recalled. And because if one's not available, you put the other one in.
Yeah, but who else is there apart from Harrofson? Carnaby is a free agent at the moment. He's not even playing football full stop, is he? Who else is out there?
Look what happened last time he was a free agent and played for Wales, eh?
Well, yeah, that's very true. That's
but also, I've retired now. Now we didn't get to World Cup. Oh, you're in the Euros. I'll come out of retirement. That's just really, dude. Come on.
So I don't know. And then he got kicked out of the squad for messing around when he should have been in his bedroom, I think. So I don't know.
You naughty boy.
So I think he's burnt his bridges there, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, isn't it? You know.
Before we finish that, shall we just pop the group table up and have a quick look-see? Because, everyone's been a bit of a Debbie Downer, as Mr. Mackey would say on it. But it doesn't look so bad when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. I mean, we've got that game in hand. It's against the Belgians, though, so... But a decent result against the Czech Republic. Their goal difference isn't great. Oh, wait. What is it? 1? Yeah, they've got a goal difference of 1 as well. So
we're on 0.
It was me thinking, So, we can manage to swing that if we get a decent result. But they're a tough side to break down. Schick had a cracking Euros. I think he went off the boil a bit towards the end. Souček's looked really good for West Ham this season again as well. So it's Kufal.
I haven't realised that Belgium had played 6 games. I thought they were on 5 as well. So if we win the next 2 games, they'll only be 3 points ahead of us. So who knows?
Again, in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't as bad as people are making out. I think it's just that initial outburst of, oh my God, what the hell has gone on here? How have we not beaten this Estonia side? They've conceded 15 goals.
None of them are ours.
In 3 games it was as well, wasn't it? So they're averaging shipping 5 goals a game. But like you said, I think with some of the good results we've got recently, we're probably owed a performance like this. And it's not the end of the world. Lighten up, people.
If we get a draw against Czech Republic, we're above them, and then we win their Belarus Estonia game and lose against Belgium, then it's all still possible, isn't it? So
other teams can drop points as well.
Exactly.
How do you know Estonia aren't going to sit 11 behind the Belgians and bully Lukaku off the ball? I don't know about that, actually. He was firing him in for Chelsea today.
Oh, God.
Should have captained him. Should have captained him.
Yeah. I haven't even got him. My fantasy league teams, it needs redoing. It just needs.
You weren't doing well this week, mate.
No. I had Antonio.
I think I've already used my wild card because I thought I'd picked an amazing team. And then, of course, the first 2 weeks were diabolical. Diabolical.
But yeah, I need to sort it out. I brought Antonio in this week. He got sent off, didn't he? Brilliant.
He was wasn't he on for breaking some kind of record this week as well? Like goal record for West Ham or something. He just gets sent off.
Quite possible. Oh God, I've just had a look now. It's very bad. It's very bad.
To be fair, you've got quite a few Liverpool and Leeds players in there. So I think you've got 4 players that haven't even played yet. So, decent result there. Could high scoring draw there could sort you out maybe.
Just to save some face, Right then.
Speaking of league football, shall we meander over to some of the league results?
Yeah, not a lot to shout about, really, is it? I mean, Cardiff are yet to play this week. Should we start with Wrexham, because you were there?
Yeah.
So you got a lot. It's the only game that anybody of us. I listened to it on the radio because Wrexham have extended the period that you can listen to the games live and stuff, which is great for me, not being in Wales at the moment and stuff. So I can listen to every game, which is nice, because obviously they're not streaming it anymore, are they? Because otherwise no one will go to the games, because we're full of plastic fans now, apparently.
Apparently. Well, I think it was supposedly sold out, wasn't it? 9,500 tickets. The attendance was 8,002. There was 200. There was a 6 in there somewhere. And I was a few beers deep when they read this out, I'll tell you the truth. And we'd just been sweating for the last 15, 20 minutes.
It was a nice day, was it?
Oh, no, I mean sweating over defending a 1-0 lead with 10 men.
Right.
that kind of sweating. It was weirdly hot today, though. Like, I was walking. It was fun walking through Chester in a Wrexham shirt. I was getting some funny looks, a few funny comments as well. I've told you about this. We're not going to get into it, but a lot of the people who go to Chester races are awful people, and I will fight you in the street like a savage. I don't care. Especially if you're in a really ill-fitting suit that looks like you've just pulled out of a charity shop. No offense to charity shop clothes, because they are great. But if you're going to buy a suit, get one that fits you properly so you don't look like a flipping, I don't know, it's like one of those scarecrows where they've obviously used the wife's blouse and they've got little twig arms. Shut up, mate. And also, if you're going to say something at me while I've got my headphones in listening to music, have the decency to say it again to me when I pull them out and say, sorry, mate, what was that? Like, don't be that guy. But no, I thought first half, Wrexham, it was a bit of a bitey game to begin with, maybe a bit edgy. I think the referee contributed to that quite a bit, and he was getting a hell of a lot of stick on social media, myself included. A lot of chants from the crowd as well, i.e. you're not fit to referee. I don't know how much Woking paid him to book every Wrexham player on the pitch, but I imagine Rob and Ryan could have probably outbid them, so I don't know why they didn't do that.
From what I can hear, the game really stopped starting because he was just blowing up for everything, you know?
Yeah, even stupid, like Jamie Record was booked early on. None of us in the Rex Rent stand could understand how that was even a foul, let alone a yellow card, because he won the ball cleanly. And then I think it was Luke Young as well, another tackle in midfield. Won the ball very clearly, yellow card straight out the pocket.
National League officiating.
Exactly. National League standard referees, especially, I can't remember the guy's name, but you said before he came on, he spent a good chunk of his career in the National League. You wonder why that is.
Not a good sign.
Not that I'd be a good referee, because I'd be on my arse blowing smoke in about a minute 30 seconds, because I have no fitness whatsoever. Like, to be fair to the referees, they probably have to be the fittest man on the pitch going up and down, but I'd be surprised if the police didn't have to escort the guy out of the ground after the game, because it was an absolute shambles with some of the decisions. The goal itself was really good finish. Paul Mullen has really impressed me in the games I've seen. Not necessarily for his goal scoring, because I think he's only got 1 or 2 this season, maybe 3.
He's got two,
yeah. But it's his build-up play and his willingness, and as you put it before we start recording, his unselfishness on the ball. He's quite happy to play in that. I think that partnership of him and Hyde works so well together. They just seem to be able to find each other on a sixpence. And Mullen just looks so dangerous running with the ball. He cut out to the wide right a lot in this game. I think it was the right-hand side anyway. My brain might have not flipped over at half time, but put a lovely cross in, just stood the ball up into the box. I think the keeper or Hyde might have actually missed it, and Coy the assassin came in at the back post, just nutted it in from about 10 yards. Nice to see. What was the chant around? Oh yeah, Jordan Davis, he's one of our own.
There you go.
Dedicated it to his nan as well. So what more could you want? I'm a nan's boy as well. He's a nan's boy. We love our nan. North Wales nans. We love them. Shout out to Brenda as well, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Bengok.
Oh yeah, she's a good egg. But no, I thought we played quite well in the first half. The chap I was sat next to, actually, we were both saying, because I think we scored in like the 40th minute. We scored quite late in the half. We were just saying, look, we've got the pressure on now, just turn the screw, get another goal for half time, so it's not a nervy second half. And of course we didn't. And second half, I thought we came out quite strongly. Looked to be sort of breaking forward with a bit more venom. The wing backs were working all day. They were constantly overlapping. French and Record were fantastic. The switch ball as well. Sort of one of the wing backs would have it. They play it back into Davis or Young, sort of maybe 5-10 yards out from, and they just switched the ball to the other wing back, and that was working every single time. Woking were defending quite narrowly, so we just had the space to get in, sort of at the side and cut in. Dave Jones came on about 55 minutes. I think Jordan had to go off. He'd gone down once before. The physio had a look at him. Yeah, he went down again, maybe 5-10 minutes later. So we would say just save him for Tuesday. Tough trip to Grimsby. We need our best players available for the Sean Pearson derby. So, Dave Jones came out thinking, okay, that's the play you need on to sit in the midfield, let James Jones and Young push further forward. He got booked for being fouled initially. His first yellow card, I think he got body checked or he got taken out off the ball completely. Laying flat on his face, I think, or flat on his back. The referee just waddles over to him as the Pillock was doing all day. "Ooh, yellow card for you, sir." What?
No explaining.
Absolute moron. But this is one of the things that gets me in football and what I quite like about the NFL. And maybe even tennis and cricket and other sports to a degree. The referees have to, or the judges, whatever you call them in the various sports, have to explain the decisions. NFL referees are mic'd up. Holding or face mask, 20-yard penalty, home team. They have to physically explain and go through their decision making. Rugby referees as well. You hear them all the time with the team. Okay, the way I saw it, the player grounded the ball. Can you find any evidence to suggest that you didn't, or any? You have to justify the decision. There's no accountability and no justifications with football referees. When are they going to sort that out? And I thought with VAR at least they'd have maybe put their mics through the PA and maybe you could hear them talking. You can't even hear them talking with Stockley Park and making the decisions. I know it's the Premier League we're talking about, but that's always smacked me as something a bit weird. Oh, yeah.
The National League, it wouldn't stop working because all the decisions are awful in the National League. So
the problem for me with a red card, though, you've got a very experienced player who's played in the Premier League, played at all these various levels.
Yeah. Local
you need to know that, exactly. But you need to know that you're on a yellow card. You should not. I'm wondering whether or not, because he'd been fouled, he actually realised he'd been booked.
Yeah.
That was something that struck me. Maybe that's what, because it was maybe 5 or 10 minutes after, or maybe, I think within 20 minutes he'd come on and got sent off. So I'm wondering if maybe he forgot that he'd been booked.
70th minute, 70th, 75th minute. So he was on for like 15 minutes or something. Something
like that. But I don't know, naive from a very experienced player to be flying in like that for a silly tackle. It's sort of 50-50, I think, in the middle of the pit. He wasn't really going to win it. And
it was in the middle of the pitch.
There's
no point going for it.
It's not like the guy was through on goal and he was trying to take him out to stop a certain goal or something. Speaking of that, I think Woking were quite unlucky not to have a penalty towards the end. I can't quite remember if it was Leighton that put the foul in or if it was Aaron Hayden or one of the defenders, but sparked a bit of I don't want to say riot, but sparked a bit of irritation in the Woking end all up in the top of the stand there. Well, 115 away fans. That's
not bad.
For a 4-hour trip from basically London, that's quite a good showing, I have to say. And they were quite loud. They were drowning 8,000 Wrexham fans out at periods of the game and giving us grief that we don't sing without a drum and that. But, we've got a lot of new fans on the ground. They probably don't know the words to the songs yet. It's my first game back at the Racecourse. I only learnt the Paul Mullen song today. So,
well, he's only been
takes time to catch up.
A few games, isn't
he? Exactly. But no, I thought to hold on with 10 men when I don't really think they put that much pressure on. When it didn't really seem like we were playing with 10 men. A lot of the times in the higher levels of football, especially international football, you can see that player missing. I don't really think you could see that we were playing with 10, but I don't want to throw anyone under the bus for their performance or anything, but I thought James Jones was quite poor with his passing.
He's come from Lincoln, isn't he?
Yeah, and you said as well in the Southend game, he was pretty good from
Yeah,
all accounts that we've heard. But players have off games, and I don't know, maybe because he was sort of having to do the extra man's job in midfield and having to sit a bit deeper for the last 20 minutes, maybe that contributed to it. I saw Aaron Hayden getting a bit of stick on Twitter as well for his performance, but I don't think he played that badly.
I think there's a couple of suicide passes from him at times and stuff. A couple of these little bits and bobs, but
But you can see he's been playing at that higher level though, because there was a few times where he'd be under massive pressure from their striker or winger, whichever player it was, I can't remember. And Cruyff turned his way out of trouble once or twice, made the guy look like an absolute moron.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. Well, at the same time, yes, I think a lot of people's expectations of Wrexham are a bit too high at this time in the season, because it's what, the fifth game we've played.
Yeah.
The team has been completely redesigned. Who's still left over from when Keats was there playing? Leighton, Luke Young,
Leighton, Young.
French
Davis.
was there, but he wasn't playing. Yeah, and Davis, of course. Yeah, French was there, but he wasn't playing. And that's all I can think, to be honest.
Oh, Jamie Record as well, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Record's there, but he's a different player this season completely. Isn't he? He's playing outstanding. I think him
offensively as well, he looks a lot more solid.
Yeah.
That was
he scored against
one of my main things about him. Yes, he did.
So there you go. But there we go. I mean, just because you got the money and everything, you got the new players, doesn't mean they're going to gel immediately. Give it time and stuff. This is about what I expected, to be honest. I didn't think we'd immediately go like win. The National League just isn't like that. Anybody who's watching National League for more than 2 games knows that it's a free for all. So
Stockport got turned over 3-0 by Yeovil today.
Well, they are, yeah. I think, and as well,
Stockport as well.
Woking beat Torquay 4-0 the other week as well. So it's just a mental league, isn't it?
One of the favourites to go up this season. Torquay.
There's no rhyme or reason, is there?
No. Anyway, that's the thing, that the National League is just so topsy-turvy that anything can happen. Anyone can beat anyone on any day. But one of the things with Hayden's performance for me, most of the time where he was going up for set pieces or he was trying to defend the corner, they'd have 2 players posted on him, and one would have a handful of the front of his shirt, one would have a handful of the back of his shirt, or they'd have 2 underhooks. It was like a bloody jiu-jitsu class, honestly. It was like training in the gi. Like, you're grabbing collars, you're grabbing that. What can the lad do if he's being manhandled about? What's he going to do? Swing an elbow in the chops and get sent off? He's not that stupid, is he? Well, other person I'd like to talk up quickly, Ben Tozer. I know everyone keeps going on about throw-ins, but I thought he generaled that back 5 or back 3, whatever the hell you want to call it, so well today. Spraying the ball about really well. It was him and Davis that were 2 of the main players for me that were finding those sort of overlaps in behind or switching the play really well, which was opening their backline up really well. For the most part, I thought the defence were absolutely solid. Leighton made a few good saves towards the end, although it was at the other end of the ground. So it was, oh God, has that gone in? Oh, no, he's pointing at the corner, thank God. Harry Lennon as well, coming back into, I think that's his first time he's played consecutive fixtures for Wrexham as well. So
he's one that's
getting that match time in your legs.
He's come out from the youth academy as well, I think, isn't he, Lennon? Am I right?
Oh, no, that's Max Clower.
Yeah,
the young lads. No, he was on the bench today.
Right.
But I thought he looked okay against Notts County. I think he was at fault for one of the goals, maybe. I think did he play it back across goal or
yeah, I think so.
Something like that. I think he made a mistake, but apart from that, he's looked really good. I think he's the left-footed centre back as well, which are always hard to come by. True. This is going off my obscure football manager knowledge, having done a billion careers as Wrexham, to try and beat the oil money jokes and get us up through the leagues when it was still Wrexham. Spencer Harris as the CEO or the chairman, whatever they call it.
Right. Shall we move on to the fixtures? I mean, just quickly, Swansea 0-0 against Hull. Swansea's woes continue. So Swansea currently in the Championship at 21st. So that of relegation, they have 5 points currently. But, it says all you need to know, really. It's just not going well for them, is it?
Didn't play that badly from the match report I read. They sort of started, or they had the periods in the first half where they were putting some good pressure on, but no real end product.
Sure. Hull are a team you'd be looking to beat, though, isn't it? They would have had this fixture earmarked as one they need to get 3 points from, and they've just not done it. It looks like the only person who could possibly score in that team is Pirot, and if he doesn't score, then Swansea don't score. It looks like at the moment. And the other result, of course, Newport 2-2 against Harrogate. So Newport going 1-0 up in the 3rd minute. Nice early goal from Scott Bennett, but then conceding the victory, the lead in the 34th minute, putting it as 1-1. Then taking the lead again with Robbie Wilmot scoring in the 38th minute, and then losing the lead again in the 43rd minute. So a bit of a yo-yo last 15 minutes of the first half, it looks like. But Newport just can't hang on to a lead for their lives, it looks like, this season. And they currently sit 17th. So we were, with a game in hand, it has to be said. And it is really tight as well, the League Two table. I mean, League Two, they're on 8 points. So if they win, they'll get 11. So 7th place is currently on 11 points with 2 games in hand on them. So a bit deceiving, the table. But, maybe Newport would have liked to have started just a little bit stronger this season, possibly.
Yeah, I think Harrogate, I think they're the only team left in the EFL with an unbeaten record. Maybe I've got that wrong, but I think they're top of League Two, aren't they? So, I don't know if I've got them backwards on the banner, actually. I don't know if they're home or away. Can't remember.
They're currently second, but with a game in hand, they've won 4 and drawn 2.
Okay, unbeaten record. Decent team as well. They came up last year. It was the COVID year they came up, didn't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're a solid team. Got some players who can find the back of the net. But for us, watching as sort of casual viewers of Newport, for me, the earmark of Michael Flynn's Newport side has always been a bit like Steve Cooper's Swansea, resolute at the back, keeping teams out, and then natural platform to build on and go and get goals. They've bought some strikers in that are going to supposedly score for him, but I think Wilmot's a defender or a wing back. Scott Bennett's a defender as well, isn't he?
I think so.
So they're relying on their defenders to, it seems like to me anyway, as an outsider, they're getting a lot of the goals from defence. I don't know if that's through set pieces, corners, that type of stuff. You'd imagine it would be. They're not going to be doing 60-yard runs through the entire team like Maradona on coke, are they? But I don't know what's really happening with Newport, because we all, I think that's League Two is probably one of the most unpredictable leagues, aside from the National League, maybe. Yeah. Just because
I think they've had a really tough time. They've had a really tough time with COVID, haven't they? Michael Flynn was
isolating for 2-3 games.
Exactly, and they were missing a bunch of players. I mean, they've only played, I think, 4 games this season. 6 games. They played 6 games this season, and so one of them. They just had a bit of a stop-start. Probably not. If your manager's isolating for a bunch of games, and how are you going to build up any sort of? So
even in training, the things he wants to work on in the week, he has to delegate that to his assistant. And there's the assistant manager. He's going to know what he's doing and that, but not having your manager in the set. Yeah, exactly. It'd be like I don't know. I can't even think who Arteta's number 2 is at Arsenal. It'd be like him taking over. God, can you imagine that?
Well, moving on to the Cymru Premier as well, there's been some real topsy-turvy results here. So Bala beat Haverfordwest 6-2, with David Edwards scoring 2 goals as well. One of the goals he scored was pretty nice as well, just absolutely buried it from a second ball. The first goal, I think, was a header from a corner. So Bala Town have discovered shooting boots finally, and they're getting the typical Bala 6-5 whatever goals a game now. Barry Town beat Connors Quay 1-0.
Whoa, that is a turner.
So Barry Town have had a bit of a difficult start to the season as well, haven't they? They've not been performing. A team that
lost David Cottrell as well. I think the Newtown he's gone to.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Going on to Newtown, they lost 4-1 to Flint United. So Flint, although I think they lost, didn't they? Against TNS? I think it was like 1-0 they lost in the end. Mm-hmm. So they're back on track.
Any for Michael Wilde?
I'm not sure actually. Let me check. I'll check. Well, I'll check in a second.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
I wouldn't be. I think we can just assume.
Let's assume he got a hat trick. So he scored 4. But we were saying Flint are probably going to be the one out of the what do they call it? The one out of the playoff conference from last year that are going to make the biggest push into the champion. And it splits into 6 and 6. Right. They're going to be the ones that I think are going to be competing maybe 5th, 4th, and they might have a decent run in the sort of tail end of the season and drag themselves up a bit. Maybe I don't know. Is it 2 European places we have for the top 2, and then the playoff winners, or the Welsh Cup winners?
Yeah. So just what you said about Michael Wilde, he scored in the 28th minute and he was sent off in the 62nd minute. So there you go. TNS drew with Penabont 1-1. So
I mean, Penabont had some really good results last year. So
yeah, exactly. And Cardiff beat Aberystwyth Town 1-0. So if we have a look at the table now, currently, it's got the New Saints sat at the top with 13 points. Flint Town second with 12 points, only 1 point behind. Barry now into third position, having lost their first game and drawn the second. They've won 3 on the bounce now, so they're really into gear. Bala, yeah, definitely. Bala are now fourth with 9 points. Connors Key fifth. They haven't won in the last 3. They haven't won the last 3. So not ideal for them then, I guess, no. But really. Flint Town, again, since the beginning of the season, we called it and we said they're going to be the ones to watch, and they're really up there, So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a really interesting Premier season so far. Very, very topsy-turvy. Seeing Connors Key Nomads in 5th position after 5 games, having not won in 3 games, is pretty strange, no?
You were thinking we were all thinking it was going to be a sort of dead shootout, Mexican standoff between them and TNS for the title again. Whoever drops 1 point in a game, that's going to give the title to the other side. But I think I don't know if them, because I don't think Connors Key are professional anymore. I think they've moved back to being semi-professional this season. So you've got that sort of catch-22 of players not having to train all week, so they might be fresher for the games at the weekend. And I don't know, maybe to a point it brings back that passion of just playing the game for wanting to play.
Yeah.
But, they've lost Michael Wilde. I think, did George Horan move on as well? I think he came to the end of his contract. Or maybe he retired, I don't know. I think they lost 2 big players, and I don't really know if they've replaced them with sort of players at that same level to sort of drag them over the line. But so you know what you're going to get from an Andy Morrison side, don't you?
Yeah.
So maybe he needs to look there at what he's doing and change it up a bit. But you look at where he's taken the Nomads in the 4, 5, 6 years, however long he's been in charge. Took him from a relegation, took him out of the relegation places, kept them up. Won the Welsh Cup, was it? Yeah. Got them into Europe for the first time in maybe the club's history. And they've had some pretty decent runs in Europe as well. There's that Kilmarnock game that's probably going to be written into Cymru Premier folklore because of, don't call us Farmers League anymore.
It was in Rill, wasn't it? It was in Bellevue, and I remember Rill was bouncing.
Were you working?
I was working, I think I was working in Prestatyn, in one of the pubs in Prestatyn.
Oh, yeah. We won't name that pub because it's a dive.
And it was just, I went back into Rill in the evening. It was just full of Scots. It was mad.
It's Lewis Prime, don't you? One of the lads from college. He made the mistake of wearing a bloody Rangers shirt out that night, and he got rightly so, I should say, because why would you want to wear a bloody Rangers shirt? But he got a lot of grief off the Kilmarnock fans for that.
Well,
quite funny. But it's okay, Lewis. Don't worry. We won't give you grief for it. We like you, bro. Good lad.
Right then, should we chat a little bit about Jack Shaw?
Oh, man. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sam, because Tank keeps rolling on. He has extended that unbeaten run to 15-0. He absolutely outclassed Lewid. Oh, hang on. I've had a few beers. I've been practicing. I've been saying his name so much this week, and I've just botched it completely. Sorry, Ludwig Shonlian.
Shonlian, wow.
Ukrainian fighter, I think. Came off the Ultimate Fighter. I think he was on Brian Ortega's team. Got to the semi-finals at the bantamweights, which is pretty good. Final 4 of the bracket. Absolutely outclassed by Jack Shaw over the 3 rounds. He was his 3rd opponent lined up for that fight, though. He was meant to be fighting originally Said Nurmagomedov, who I think is a cousin of Khabib. Might be a distant cousin, but I believe they are actually related. They don't just share a surname. He was meant to fight another guy as well, just some guy they bought either off the Contender Series or from regional MMA. I think he was signed to the UFC for about 8 or 9 days. Then he got injured, and they terminated the poor lad's contract. So, I know Dana White's a ruthless, bald bastard, though, and no one really likes him, but we just put up with him because he's in charge.
It's like Eddie Hearn, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Eddie Hearn's a bit more redeemable because he's quite funny.
A bit likeable at times, I guess.
Oh, yeah,, Go on, then. But no, Shonlian was absolutely outclassed over the 3 rounds. Barely touched within. Jack was barely touched within striking range. For me, the biggest improvement I've seen over the last 4, 5, 6 fights, his jab, his footwork, and his head movement. He's working with Gary Lockett, who's a really high-level boxing coach in South Wales. I think he might have Enzo Maccarinelli. I think he trained with him for quite a while. One of our 13 boxing world champions. He's been working with Jack since he was quite young in his MMA career, I believe. So you're always going to get those improvements when you're training with those high-level people. But the improvement in his striking is helping set up his grappling engagements, and as well, just being able to piece someone up for 5 rounds. Like, he's got such a stiff jab. Like, the guy was seeing it coming. He wasn't able to do anything about it, and then he'd sort of circle out, hit him again, 1-2, circle out again. He was using it to help set up his takedowns. He used it to help set up clinch engagements as well. And he was securing takedowns pretty easily against, I think, Shonlian's like a pretty high-level Sambo wrestler, which is the type of wrestling in Dagestan, and that Khabib Nurmagomedov and a lot of the Dagestani and Russian guys train. Really difficult style of fighting to get past. Now, probably, in my opinion, one of the more dominant styles of grappling we're seeing in MMA nowadays. But I think Shonlian might have been a Sambo world champion at some point in his career. But again, Jack did this with a torn bicep flexor, which he tore, I think it's his bicep flexor. He tore some in his bicep 2 weeks before the fight. And he also had a broken thumb. Don't know if it was going into the fight or he broke his thumb with like one of the punches he threw, but 2 pretty dodgy injuries for a sport where you're trying to throw punches and shooting for double legs on people. So the fact he did that with those injuries and just got through the camp, didn't pull out, it's probably handy that you've got your dad as your head coach and he knows how to manage you as a fighter and manage your sort of injuries and manage your recovery, etc. But I've been so impressed with Tank the last couple of fights. He's really starting to come out as more of a complete fighter now. Sure. He's always been widely recognised for his grappling, his ability to get to the back, chain takedowns together, put the submission on. But he's had knockouts in Cage Warriors before, but he's fighting a higher level of competitor now. I think he just seems to be running through these people. Even the split decision he had last time out was not a fucking split decision at all. He beat Hunter Azure convincingly, 2 rounds to 1, if you want to say that. I don't know how that referee scored 2 rounds to Azure, but he's obviously looking with American tinted glasses as they do constantly in the boxing. So.
I don't know. The thing with Jack Shaw, as he went into the UFC, was a question: is can he, yes, he's a great grappler. Yes, he'll get you submissions, but can he go, a full 5 rounds or whatever? The past 2 fights have gone they've gone the whole distance now, haven't they? And he's come out on top both times. I think, is it 4 fights he's had now in the UFC?
4 fights in the UFC, 2 submissions,
and 2 decisions.
2 rear naked chokes, 1 split decision, which should have been a unanimous decision, and another decision,
So he's got to be, he's, like you said, well, there you go, he's showing himself as a more complete fighter. If he can go the whole distance and still come out on top, he can choke him out. And like you said, if his boxing work has improved massively and everything, he's got to be one of the hottest prospects in that weight division, no?
Certainly. If we're going to use the tag UK fighters, which is thrown around a lot in MMA, it rubs me up a bit the wrong way, but it's easy to explain to all the American fans. He is the hottest prospect in the UK right now. Maybe aside from Tom Aspinall, because I really do like Tom Aspinall. He's such a likeable guy. And his dad was the first ever BJJ black belt in the UK. So you've got to respect that. I think Aspinall's been on the mat since he was like 3 or 4, but he's a heavyweight. Jack's a bantamweight. They're never going to fight. These are the 2 hottest prospects and the best chance we have of having more champions from the UK. Because we've only ever had one, Michael Bisping.
Michael Bisping, of course, yeah.
Absolutely amazing guy. Love his podcast. Love his trash talking. Love how he showed up to the GSP press conference absolutely wasted. Michael, you are intoxicated. Oh, fuck off, you dwarf. God. But no, like, Jack's been running through these guys. When are they going to give him a ranked opponent so he can silence all these people like, oh yeah, but what if he comes up against Sean O'Malley or someone in the top 10? Sean O'Malley crushes cans for a living and he can't grapple. He's a very good striker, but he's also a scumbag for what he said about Megan Anderson. I don't know if you heard about that, but yeah, let's not get into that because I don't think it's bastard airtime. But I hope they either match Jack up with Ronald McDonald himself, Sean O'Malley with the stupid bloody rainbow afro. because he will get past his jab, get to the double leg, smash him into the ground, and I think he'll finish him with ground and pound, to be honest. Because last time O'Malley got taken down by Chito Vera, I think his leg had actually given out, to be fair to him, but he just got absolutely swamped on the mat. Again, I think he's another one of these fighters that he's all about the knockout, and he just doesn't have any desire or willingness to want to learn or perfect the grappling aspects, because you never see him framing up properly or sort of putting his feet on the hips to try and push off, getting his shoulders off the mat. And against I think Jack Shaw was a 5-time jiu-jitsu champion in the UK as well. Black belt, very, very high level grappler. But O'Malley's unranked, unfortunately, so but he's a big name. He's got big amount of influence in the UFC. He's a big personality, so he gets the media attention. Yeah. That could maybe be a fight to jump Jack up. I think we've got. I was thinking personally, Casey Kenny would be a good matchup for him. Sort of like very well-rounded fighter in all the aspects. Fought Dominic Cruz recently, but got outboxed completely by Cruz for 3 rounds. But I think he's matched up at the minute, so they're not going to make that one. Looking at the guys at the bottom end of the top 15, though, because I think they should give him someone ranked between 12th and 15th, 11th and 15th. Rafael Assunção, he's ranked 12th at the minute. I can't remember what his record's like, but he's always, recently at bantamweight, he's used as sort of a good sounding board, like a gatekeeper, they call it. If you can beat this guy, okay, good enough to fight the rest of these guys in and around him. Cody Stamen as well, ranked 14th. Good bit of hype coming his way. Not sure of his record currently. I haven't looked into it, to be honest with you. I was just trying to pick some names off the rankings that I think. Again, a good matchup for Jack.
Do you think that Jack Shaw suffers a little bit from not being a massive personality? Because if you look at
maybe he's not outspoken or anything.
Yeah, you look at this Scouse lad that fought for the first time, Paddy Pimblett, he was called, isn't he?
Paddy the Baddie.
So he's obviously a massive personality. You call in Facebook lizards and everything, you know. So because of that, he, you know, in his one fight in the UFC, I think it is, isn't it? No,
that was a UFC debut. Yeah.
In that debut, he probably got more sort of press coverage from the British press anyway than Jack Shaw did, winning his 4th fight and going 15-0. You know. So do you think he suffers a little bit? Do you think maybe he's not getting those big opportunities because he's not as big a personality? He's not as sort of like flamboyant or maybe easy to sell to an American audience or something.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I just don't think that's him though, and I don't see why you should have to change that just to get more attention off the UFC or to get put into bigger fights and that. But I'll use Colby Covington as an example. He was about to get cut from the UFC. They did not like his style at all. He was he's a very high level wrestler, very, very good cardiovascular system. So he could go for more than 25 minutes, I reckon. He'd probably go for about 45 if you could do half a football. But he wasn't an outspoken personality, didn't get that much press coverage. The UFC were going to cut him. So he took on this Donald Trump's little enforcer role, wearing the MAGA hat, having a go at the Brazilian fans when they were booing him for beating Rafael dos Anjos, calling them filthy animals. Coming up, he basically turned himself into a wrestling heel character.
Sure.
Gives all the fighters he doesn't like bad nicknames like Marty Fake Newsman, Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal calls himself Street Jesus. Him and Colby used to train together. They've got a bit of beef. He calls him Street Judas, which I think is quite clever, actually.
That's a good one, actually. That's a good one.
But like, he's used that to excel himself as a big personality in the UFC, and he has got a rematch. He's the next guy facing Usman for the welterweight title. I think it's UFC 268 they're fighting at. I think it's in November sometime. He is not the number one contender in that division by any stretch of the imagination, but because of his name and he can sell pay-per-views, he's got it. That's why he's talked his way into a fight. So, you get that a lot in MMA because, to a point, it is how many pay-per-views can you sell for this main event. And Dana White, he sees the dollar signs rolling around his eyes. He wants to take that money and go to Vegas and splooge it all on blackjack tables and get kicked out of a casino again for destroying the house. But yeah, I'd agree with that to a point. Maybe that's why Jack hasn't been pushed into the bigger fights. But also, the press coverage in the UK for MMA, unless you're Darren Till or Leon Edwards, is absolutely dog shite, and I'll say that. Fair play to the National, the new Welsh paper, or the fairly new Welsh newspaper. They had Jack Shaw as the main story on the back page. I think the headline was a Shaw thing as well. So, good on them for getting him in there. But I saw Richard Shaw, his dad, head coach, saying on Twitter, I think a week or two before the fight, "Oh, thank you very much, BBC Sport, BBC News, ITV News, etc., for giving Jack absolutely no coverage, no interviews, nothing like that during the fight. Absolutely disgraceful." But as soon as he wins, they're like, "Oh, fantastic work, Jack Shaw. Well done. We've always been a fan of you. No, you fucking don't. Don't support this guy when he's winning. I can't say if you're going to turn your back on him when he's losing. He hasn't bloody lost yet. Don't support him when he's winning. If you don't give a shit about him before, that really rubs me up the wrong way. But you have a lot of these fence sitters in MMA. They say one thing one day and the next day is the other. I'm surprised they haven't had to go to the doctors for an infected arsehole. The amount of splinters that got rammed up there sitting on the fence that long, being bloody A&E with Keir Starmer by now. But if you're not going to talk this guy up before the fights and that, don't jump on the bandwagon when he's won. Because the amount of hours that young lad has put in the gym to get to where he is now, and that is one of the other things that really aggravates me. These fighters put their bodies on the line for our entertainment. They could leave that fight with really bad CTE. Michael Bisping lost an eye in the cage. He fought his last 4 or 5 fights maybe with 10% vision or less in one of his eyes.
I didn't know that.
And it was his right eye, I think, because he's an orthodox fighter. So it wasn't his, if he was a southpaw, it'd have been his lead eye. So, but yeah, like even those fights, it's just your McGregor's. I love Adesanya, but he gets a lot of attention because he's a vocal personality. Masvidal does too. You look at people like Demetrius Johnson, one of the most dominant champions ever in the sport. Who talks about him? Because he wasn't a big personality, because he didn't really sell the pay-per-views like they want you to.
Yeah.
But he's one of my favourite fighters ever to exist in UFC, and like just for that flying armbar finish on Ray Borg, he should be up there in the GOAT conversation, but he's not. Oh, he fought bums at flyweight. It was his. There was no contenders there. Shut the fuck up, you casual. You don't know what you're talking about. But sorry, rant over.
Shall we? Let's move on to darts before you bust a vein. Yeah.
You see me going. I'm nearly as red as this bloody top now, aren't I?
So we'll finish up on the darts, shall we? It's the World Cup of darts at the moment, isn't it? So Wales, the current holders with the team of Gerwyn Price and Johnny Clayton, going into it as the second seed somehow, which is bizarre because I mean,
because they're not England, mate. They're not England.
We'll guess who are the top seeds in it? England. But Gerwyn Price, current world darts champion, Johnny Clayton, current Premier League of darts champions. So they're going in there as favourites, but somehow the second seeds. Well, they faced up against Finland on
Thursday.
Was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday it would have been. Yeah, because it's Saturday, isn't it? I'm lost. But yeah, pretty comfortable victory against Finland. The way it is at the moment, well, the first round of knockouts is just first to a set, so first to reach five games. Yeah. It went 3-0 up very, very quickly. Very simple stuff. However, Finland were a little bit resurgent. Managed to pull 2 back. And it went 4-0. Finland got 2. And then it was never in doubt. It was just one of those things where, someone gets a bit of momentum and that. So tonight they're in the quarterfinals against Lithuania. It's currently happening now. So when I finish this, I've got Twitter closed and I don't want to know. I want to watch it with a clean mind. So when I finish this, I'll put it on. This time it's the first of 2 sets. So a bit more of a challenge maybe. And we'll see how they do. There's been some, pretty interesting games and stuff. It's definitely worth the watch the World Cup of Darts, especially to see Wales, current world champions. Definitely worth it. Gerwyn Price and Johnny Clayton are both playing the best darts of their lives currently. Not the best darts in that match against Finland, but it must be hard to motivate yourself, and it's just a first round against someone that you must win, surely. So there we go. We'll see what happens against Lithuania. It's currently happening right now, so we'll be able to give you some updates later on, maybe.
I believe from watching Sky Sports News this morning, if you want to, I don't know why I'm saying this because it's not going to go out today. It's live on Sky Sports Mix, whatever the hell that channel is.
I've got it on DAZN.
But if you're watching this, you've probably missed it because This probably won't go out till Sunday, let's be honest.
So-
I forgot to post the last show as well, if you want to razz me for that before we finish. 'cause
No, it's
I
easy.
just completely forgot. And you forgot to remind me as well.
I
so,
looked on Spotify. Oh, that's odd. I won't say because surely Martin knows what he's doing. Surely.
New job, mate. My first
moving
proper
house.
30. Yeah, moving house. So, God, that feels like a lifetime ago. That's settled in this place now. It doesn't even feel like we've moved. But it's a good sign. But first week at work wasn't too bad. Settling in well there. Wrexham game at the weekend as well. Something to look forward to, even though I was sweating about the ticket.
We'll let you off this time.
Appreciate that, babe. You can grill me in person next weekend if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Wales.
Did you have a trivia question before we?
God, you know what? I would have forgotten all about that. So, Gareth Bale scoring 2 penalties against Belarus to end his 16-goal drought. We missed the last 2 penalties in a row. Finland, Harry Wilson, and Turkey, Gareth Bale himself. So, can you name the last 3 penalties that we'd scored before Gareth Bale's penalties?
Is this the last 3 players to score a penalty?
And the game.
So I can maybe guess that I think Ramsey scored one.
Yeah, well, I've just noticed it. Well, including Gareth Bale's penalties against Belarus. So Ramsey, do you know what the game was? Because it was the Panenka.
Yeah. That's going to wind me up because I think we were watching it together, weren't we?
We were, yeah, we did. I think we watched it in Leeds. So I should give you a clue for the date in that. In fact, both of these penalties we watched together. I think in the pub in the library in Leeds.
It wasn't Azerbaijan, was it?
It wasn't Azerbaijan. It was Serbia.
Serbia.
They went on
I was nowhere near.
They went on to draw 1-1 in that game, and it was on this 11th of June 2017. And the one previous, it was in the same qualifying campaign.
Who were our penalty takers back then?
He
was even in the squad then.
Yeah.
Are they no longer playing for? Are they no longer in the national team setup? Or
no, they're still.
Can you hint me that? Oh, right, okay. Wilson, Kiefer Moore's not. No, he's never. He wouldn't have been in the squad that time, would he? No, he didn't get called up till.
I didn't say it's someone you've not already said.
Oh, Ramsey again.
No,
Wilson.
It was Bale. Can you tell me what team?
No, Republic of Ireland. They're the only team I can remember in the group. Okay,
so we beat Republic of Ireland 4-0, didn't we? This that's the best score in recent times. This equaled that score. Big result, 4-0. No, Moldova. Against Moldova, 4-0. Okay. So Gareth Bale.
I don't know if you saw me tapping out there.
Weirdly enough, though, it was on the same day that Gareth Bale scored 2 penalties against Belarus, the 5th of September, so in 2016. So
wow.
5 years later, on the same day, scores a penalty.
Let's just make sure we organise a game on that day, every international window.
Or at least
don't care if it's a Monday. If we'll play on a bloody Monday, we can skip work on Tuesday. Who cares?
There we go. Right then.
Keep the momentum going while it's on. That absolutely stumped me. Well done on that one. I was too busy drinking and making excuses to write a trivia question today,
I would have got the Serbia one. I don't think I would have got the Gareth Bale and Moldova one. I remember them winning 4-0. And I remember Joe Allen scoring, but I don't remember Gareth Bale scoring.
That was the special thing in the game. Joe Allen scored. Yeah. Was that with the yellow kit as well?
I think you're right, actually. Possibly, yeah. Possibly. Ooh, good question.
I seem to recall that they only had that yellow shirt for one game. But I also have a feeling we played a team we should have battered and we only won 1-0.
Yeah.
2-0.
No,
it might, but I'm just pulling ideas together now. I'm filling time.
The Moldova game, that 4-0 one, was the first game after the Euros. Do you remember? We came off. Oh, we're gonna qualify easy, only to get absolutely
rolled over,
heartbroken by Ireland.
Oh, well, it's always going to be difficult if Joe Allen plays for 20 minutes, probably concussed after being elbowed in the head, which
by his teammate as well, wasn't it?
Wasn't it James McLean?
I think it was James McLean.
His Stoke team. Yeah. Because James McLean's Irish, right? This is a point of contention for a lot of British football fans. Why are you not wearing the poppy? Because those people fought and died for the right for him not to be forced to wear it. Do you know what I mean? But also, like, he doesn't do himself favors sometimes when he with elbowing people. I usually blame James McLean for a few incidents on the field, but if it's an Irish player that's elbowed someone or kicked someone, it's either him or John Walters. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, John Walters, who's clearly scouted.
Another Stoke player, yeah.
Another Stoke player. Maybe it was him then.
Maybe.
Right, anyway, should we do there then, boys? Well, boys.
Send out that, boys. I don't know how we're going to do this next week because you're going to be in. Well, maybe we can sort of do a 2-person setup in here next week and have an AirPod each and talk into them.
I can bring a microphone or something. No problem.
We'll work something out. Hopefully, have Lewis back next week as well. He's got a few family commitments going on this week, and all the best to him for everything. And his new job as well that he seems to be settling into nicely. Good to see.
It's an extra week for him to sort his Wi-Fi out as well, isn't it? So.
Oh yeah.
Buy himself an extender.
Or ask Rachel very nicely. She'll upgrade the package for him. I think. But no, it's we'll get back to semi-normality in that. And to be fair, with Lewis on, I'll probably mitigate my rants a bit more about MMA. Because shut up, Martin. What are you talking about? You do better then. You do better. I will. I promise.
There we go. Right then,
anyway,
a pleasure.
I'll just flash the socials a bit quicker across the screen so you can see them there. I'm not going to read them out because I'm lazy. But
next time you need to give me a warning so I can do the Rafa Benitez thing, you know. Remember, it's like that, and the scoreline comes across. Have you seen that?
Yeah, magic. Let's try again. 3, 2, 1.
That time.
I'm drumming on top. There's probably a delay with us going through the.
Quite possibly.
Start working out the semantics on record. Right. Blade for the Dragon 15. Very much enjoyed it. Get off Rob Page's back, for God's sake, people. Come on.